Hello, this is MBA Bites, a series about things you learn in business school and things you don't. I'm Vin Bittencourt, and today I want to share with you 5 strategies to beat automation. The overall notion is that machine learning and intelligent systems are coming for most jobs. So how do you protect yourself? How do you make sure you still have a career feature? The real challenge of the digital age is how to bring human traits, personality, character, communication, and people skills to operate side by side with machine learning and artificial systems. But how do you actually do that? What are the strategies in terms of learning experiences or skills that you need to master? Well, this is the subject of today's episode of MBA Bites. In US, more than 100,000 people graduate every year with MBA degrees. The typical elite university updates its curriculum every 6 years, while the world's leading transformations are happening every day. So standardized education systems create professionals with identical technical skills, and that's enough as a gateway into the job market. But for long-term growth and job security, you need a vision that connects with your inner strengths and passions. So this is definitely the age where you must find work that you love. You must find work that's inspiring. But it's also the age where empowerment, self-determination, and resilience are particularly rewarded. You got to build a roadmap that connects with who you are, your character, your individuality, your strengths. So you make the transition effectively between the traditional and into the digital economy. Before the digital divide and the age of networks, economies kind of went in 7-year cycles of boom and bust, with rising living standards and security for skilled workers. So pretty much everyone with a 4-year degree had a job guarantee. Up until recently, most corporate jobs follow basic principles of the industrial age: routinized, repetitive, standardized systems and tasks. But with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data, most business processes are now can be broken down, codified, packaged, and slapped onto software. Globalization and big data completely disrupted the traditional economy for jobs. Robots can now manage core business processes more efficiently and cheaper than human workers. In fact, experts believe that machines can make better decisions than about 90% of the people in operational roles. So something that started with industrial-based, labor-intense jobs, now it's finally catching up with knowledge work. So if the job that you have does not tap into your creativity, your individuality, your character, your inspiration, then it's time to look for something else. First, because it's probably boring and uninspiring anyways, but mostly because machines are coming for it. The age of network requires that you tap into your inner strengths, that you come up with unique insights, and you connect with people on a human level. As a result, the organizations of the future will rely more and more on independent thinkers, self-managed people who display personality, authenticity, and character. What are some of the attributes and competencies to develop that are kind of human-centric and bulletproof to automation and systems? Emotional intelligence, leadership, people and political skills, innovative thinking, communication skills. In fact, those are the attributes of digital age professionals. The working class post-digital divide, it's prone to be outspoken, risk-taking, and impatient. People who will change jobs frequently. Among their core competencies and qualities: technical depth, business savviness, and conceptual thinking. But the real question, though, is not whether machines will wipe out all the jobs, but what kind of jobs they create in the process. As good as computers and systems have become recently, humans still hold a monopoly on common sense, flexibility, and judgment. Not to mention, people are great at context, storytelling, narrative, synthesis, emotional connection. Those are skills where humans are far superior than the average machine, creating sort of a stronghold against automation. So based on everything we've seen so far, what are the 5 strategies to beat automation long term? So the first strategy is stepping up, right? Let's picture the way if machines are coming for your job, what do you do in terms of to avoid the collision? So stepping up is staying, a step above of machines, where you rely on abstract thinking, storytelling, the things that make you powerful as a knowledgeable consultant, a professor, subject matter expert into something that dwells upon your experience, your wisdom, your practices. You become like really the go-to person for that subject. You become a reference. The best example of stepping up I can think of, it's Warren Buffett, right? The investor. Everybody knows at this point, what kind of strategies he uses when he picks company, before investing, People in finance and money follow Berkshire Hathaway, his investment company, very closely. So they know the methodology, right? The way they do business and what kind of metrics they pay attention to. But in reality, nobody can replicate, right? No one has replicated his results on the stock market. And why is that? Because that's the kind of tacit knowledge that's unique to the individual, right? The way he does things, his secret sauce, right? His wisdom, his experience. So yeah, there's a technique, there's a way of doing things, but that's not something, just because you can put into a manual or a checklist doesn't mean you're going to achieve the same results. So stepping up, it's something that dwells upon your personality, your individuality, your talents. And over time, as you become really good at something, that's a way to make you stand out. And usually there's no automation for that because there's no way to capture that knowledge and codify and replicate, right? So everyone else could follow a formula and just reach the same results that you do. No, that's unique to you, right? That makes you unique, that makes you special. So stepping up, definitely, it's a great strategy to avoid being a victim of automation. And yes, it requires years of education and preparation and dedication to become really good at something. But again, when it comes to the point that you are a knowledge worker or a reference into a field, because you have like unique insights and, again, the secret sauce to do things way better than the average person or the average machine, then it's a good stronghold, a good defense against automation. So the first strategy is stepping up. The second strategy is stepping aside, like moving out of the way of machines. So that means that you rely on human-centric skills, communication, empathy, human connection, working in service jobs or creative jobs. That means, it could be something artistic, performance, music, theater, but it can actually be, creative interior design or designing websites, anything that taps into your imagination, your talent, your, innovative, creative energy. But also in service, right? Like being, working with people, with customers, serving people in retail and restaurants and things like that. I mean, obviously, those are weird times. Those are weird times for those types of jobs. But technically, if you think about it, in normal times, those are the kinds of jobs that are almost impossible to automate because it requires the human touch, the human connection. So the fact that you have those talents, you hone skills within the capacity to communicate and connect with people, to please customers, to serve customers, that's a great way to stay, out of automation, to protect yourself from automation. And obviously when things, go back to normal, those jobs will return and people, millions of people make a livelihood working in service jobs. However, though, the catch or the pitfall with service jobs that you have to pay attention to is that some service jobs are kind of dead end. They might pay well, they might pay relatively okay, but there are limited opportunities for learning and growing. That's one of the aspects that we talked about on MBA Bites, is the opportunity to learn a skill, learn something, a competency that's going to propel you to bigger and better opportunities. So unfortunately, most retail and service jobs are kind of dead end in that sense. But again, nonetheless, they are effective weapons or effective, in terms of a strategy, they are pretty effective in beating automation or staying, moving ahead of the way of machines and surviving. Stepping in as a third strategy, you control, you manage, you troubleshoot the work of machines. You're pretty much the expert that's going to tweak the robots. A network administrator, a cybersecurity analyst, a data scientist, a business analyst. Whether in technology or not, every time you do work that promotes or supports the work of machines, that can be considered a stepping in strategy. The fourth strategy is step narrowly. So finding a ultra niche, something that's very specific and unique. Maybe something that's too small to automate or to scale in an industrial base, but at the same time something that it's lucrative, they can make a living. I once read an article of a gentleman that made north of $1 million advising people how to set up Dunkin' Donuts franchises. So not McDonald's, not Burger King, not franchise in general. It was a consultancy based on Dunkin' Donuts franchises. So that tells the level of expertise and how he was able to carve out a laser focused niche into something. Same way you can think about people that work on museums, a museum curator that's an expert on ancient Egypt, or a winemaker, someone that does something very technical but very specific, that's kind of like a micro niche. So stepping narrowly is a great way to beat machines, right? Because again, it dwells upon your talents, your passions, and the things you're really good at. Sometimes even your eccentricities, right? Your idiosyncrasies. so to speak. So step narrowly, it's a great way to find differentiation and build rewarding and solid careers that stay away or stay miles away from being wiped out by automation. So the fifth strategy is stepping forward, right? Moving ahead into the future. As a step forward strategy, you pretty much work on the next generation of machines and artificial systems. Yes, you tap into deep technical expertise, but also big picture thinking, conceptual thinking, and people skills. You have to be able to design solutions for the future. So a great deal of human connection and understanding customer experiences and knowing how to improve process, to create new things, to make machines more intelligent. A stepping forward strategy in terms of career prospects and possibilities for growth, it's kind of like endless. Some of the most rewarding jobs out there are probably in technology and innovation. So a stepping forward strategy requires again, deep level technical skills, but also big picture thinking and human connection. That's a great way to stay relevant and find a rewarding and fulfilling career. Using a step forward strategy might be the way to go for people with mathematical abilities and talents and skills for bioengineering, robotics. So many other things are very technical, very complex in nature. But those are some of the most necessary changes in business and society depend on that level of expertise and those talents. So definitely a great way to go. It's using a step forward strategy. Thanks so much for watching MBA Bites. I really hope you enjoy watching the 5 strategies to beat automation. And I look forward to see you in our next episode.